Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final round of the Vios Racing Festival 2019. James Deacon here alongside.
Apple, David, and James again since it is the last leg of the VS Racing Festival. This is it, all in.
This is it. Everyone's got double points here. Anyone's game right now. Oh, okay, we had a little false start there from car number 26. They are
26.
all out and they are ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, first corner is where a lot of things get decided. Will we see any action here in the first corner? Any swapping of paint or any kind of contact between the cars? We know that once they come out of there, they pretty much have a long 12-lap race, and this is the best chance for some drivers to get a couple of spots ahead. Apple, this is where we normally see all the fireworks and drama. Good start there from car number 99.
Gel
I think
Napat.
it's Jill Napa, who seems like he took the lead already in this particular, let's see if it, no, car 43, that's Lord Seno. Car 43, Lord Seno looks like he's taken the lead in the first corner coming down from the corkscrew area. That's what we call it. Gretchen Hall trailing in there last. Car 43 just ahead. This is not a safe distance, meaning he's under attack right now. Lord Seno, will he lose the spot? Right now we can't see exactly who's behind his car number 99. That is Gel
Gel
Napat.
Napat still, yes.
And then Gel is right there on the bumper of Lord Seno as they come down to a very crucial part of the track. Opening lap is where everybody's on complete hyperdrive because there's so much to consider here, Apple. There's so many parameters that you have to weigh it down. I mean, people are on your right, on your left, behind you, sometimes in front of you. Coming down from this corner here is leading into what they call Acacia. This is a great overtaking opportunity. Looks like Lord Seno has a good enough gap. What do you think?
Um, I think you are absolutely right. And of course, this since you mentioned this is
I'm
just the
sorry to
first.
interrupt you, Apple. Markson looks like he just grabbed a couple of spots there. Car number 77, that looks like a big jump there from Mark Sung. Let's see with another angle. He is now into third place. Third place for Mark Sung. What a great jump up there from the starting line. Mark Sung started fifth, but it looks like he jumped up 2 spots. Might have even lost a spot in between. So it could be a 3-spot jump. That's noteworthy.
So just an update, James. You mentioned earlier, or you already noticed how car number 26 had a jump start. That
Yeah.
is Julian Neri. So there will be corresponding penalty for that.
And a corresponding penalty is usually 10 seconds, which is almost impossible to try to gain over a race distance like this. Even on a long distance, 10 seconds in this world is a lifetime in racing. But let's take a look as they come across the start-finish line, and we'll give you an update on who is where in terms of position. We've got Lord Seno now in the lead of this race with Francis Adriano. Gel Napa, should I say, in second place. Mark Sung now in third. Eggy Ong, previous race winner from the previous rounds, is in fourth. Francis Adriano from first to fifth.
How important is it, James, to get a good, like, position yourself, put yourself in a good position after the first lap or within that first lap?
It's absolutely crucial because, like I was saying earlier in the opening, it's a time where you can really win or lose a lot of places. So there's a big gamble, but there's a lot. The stakes are very high because once you get into the groove, remember these cars are all equally prepared. There's zero advantage that any driver has except in terms of driver skill. Mechanically, they are exactly the same. So when you come across when you do the start, this is an opportunity to jump valuable spots. These are spots that you're going to have to work so hard for later on in the race to be able to get. Because if the difference between your cars is nothing and it's just skill, you really want to go all out. But the risk is also massive because you could lose 5 spots. There's a saying we have in racing, and it goes like this: if you cannot win you don't win a race in the first corner, but you can certainly lose one.
So within lap number 2, leading the pack is Lord Sena number 1, Jel Napat, following him, then Mark Sung, Egyong, and Francis Adriano. Now, let's talk about pacing. Is that something you do in a race?
Absolutely, but just definitely not in the first lap. In the first lap, it is a scramble. It is usually something where every man for himself, every man, woman, and child has to get out there and cut and just carve out the best possible result. And then from here is where you start pacing, like Lord Seno right now, who is a very experienced race winner already
Definitely.
in the Vios Racing Festival. So he knows his stuff. He's a very, very experienced and mature driver. So he's going to be pacing himself because he wants the car to not only get to the end of this race, but remember there's another race up as well. So these are double points. You cannot be too soon the hero because you might blow it all. So to answer your question, definitely pacing is a very big part of the strategy.
And another thing is timing. So, for example, you were able to position yourself probably in the middle of the pack. When do you start like making a move? Is there like a target lap wherein you start, being aggressive and a little hyper? When is it too early to make your move? When is it too late? When do you do your like final push?
I think you can apply the same rule as you do in any other sport. I'm thinking contact sports like boxing, MMA, etc., where it's really up to the person where they see their strength. If you were in a car number 81, that's Red Diwa, isn't it? Red Diwa has a great pass there, nice and clean pass over car number. I think we lost car number.
Was it 31?
I think it was John D's Francis Adriano. They took. So getting back to your question, yes, it's really. Oh, we've got a car going sideways there. Car number 18.
Car number
Is
18,
John.
that is John Zhao. John Zhao
John Zhao, okay, with
of
Team
Team
Biscay,
Biscuit.
has a little contact there. That's going to cost him dearly in places there because it looks like he's lost a lot of momentum as well.
And since you already mentioned about losing momentum when
Funnily
you know
enough,
you kind of your car gets hit, how does that affect you,
well,
Mimo?
in that case, I just saw the replay offline there, and so he lost a lot. He lost momentum by getting hit by a car, but then he hit another car, which put him back. So I don't know if we can show that, if we can replay that. But look at Johnny; it's like a pinball machine. He gets hit, and had there been no other car that okay, watch this, watch this. So he gets hit there. That cost him dearly. But look, he bumps into that car. Oh, he didn't actually bump into it, but the avoiding maneuver got him back on track. So very, very interesting turn of events there. But it did cost him, I would say, 3 spots, maybe 2 to 3 spots. So there, that is how that one panned out with the John Zhao in losing a couple of spots. Apple, you're not having good luck with your mic today. Lost her voice, lost her mic. Okay, no problem. We'll just take it from here as Lord Seno leads this race. While you are off mic, Apple, it's a good opportunity to answer your question again about when do you get on the gas, so to speak. Well, that really depends on many factors. One, it's on where the strength of that particular driver is. Are you are you good in the later laps? Are you good in the stronger laps? What's happening with your competitor? Too many factors to consider, I would say, to be able to give you an actual, oh, we'll leave it to the last two or attack early. It really depends on the conditions. Then, of course, you have the weather to factor in. Right now, we've got blue skies here in Clark, but we've seen it so many times. Like right now, skies are gray on one side as well. We started out with picture perfect racing conditions, and now we're looking at some grayish clouds over coming from one side. And usually, if all things being equal, the weather will turn later on in the afternoon, which gives us also a very exciting finale. Okay, so now Lord Seno, here's how it looks like. Hasn't changed much up the top three. We've got Lord Seno still leading this race, and a great job there from Troy Montero is now also up, leading the celebrity class. He is now in number 18, in 18th place, but he dropped down a couple of 3 spots already, but that still puts him ahead of Aubrey Miles, who is in 2nd spot. Yes. Danielle Matsunaga in 3rd, Gerald Anderson in 4th, Gretchen Ho in 5th, and Chi Philomeno in 6th place there for the celebrity class. And here's something interesting. Jel Napat is just posted the fastest lap, but Lord Seno still leads this race. So 2:28.508 for Jel Napat versus a 2:28.736 for Lord Seno. And now we see a little bit of passing going on here. Car number 69 That is Ian Rosales. Some midfield action there to look forward to. We're running 3 different grids here. We're running the promotional, we're running the sporting, and we're also running the celebrity class in one. So it could be, if you are just joining us, that your driver could be somewhere in 8th place, or in the case of, let's say, Troy Montero, who is in 18th place, is still leading his division. So just in case we have some action here in between. I think Gel Napat, Lord Seno coming down the main straight into turn number 1. Lord Seno holding off Gel Napat into turn number 1. Nice clean line. Looks like Gel Napat taking a different line. Is in the setup against Lord Seno here to come out of the slingshot down the corkscrew into the next section of curbs here. There's a great overtaking opportunity coming up, so they could be setting this up for something down as late as Akasha, which is about 1, 2, 3, 4 more turns away. Sometimes you got to think of this like chess, Apple. You got to be looking down the line. Don't make your move right there, but you're setting it up for 5 corners down.
I'm back. There you go. My mic is back. So, James, just an update. Earlier we saw contact between, I think that was Julian Tang, car number 28. So that is incident number 2, contact between cars resulting in advantage or gain or disadvantage. And the penalty for that is 1 position down added to the final result of the race finish for each incident.
Well, there you go. That's just the way Toyota Motor Philippines like to do things. They like to be particularly strict on contact, because once you get out there into the international motorsports scene, you will find that they are just as unforgiving about these things. So you may as well learn it now. This is Toyota's logic behind it, and I think it makes perfect sense, because if you are planning to carve out a career, you may as well learn the good habits now, as early as now. No free rides given out here in terms of safety and in terms of puede na yan, as they say. There's no puede na yan over here. It's all, you may as well learn it properly, because this is the standard of international motor racing, which Toyota Motor Philippines has set here in the Philippines. And kudos to them for doing that, because the way we see the Vios Racing Festival and the Vios Cup when it first started out was not only to provide a great motor racing series for people, but to also elevate it in general, the entire racing industry in the Philippines. Exceeding track limits, Sherwin Diwa.
So that will incur some penalty. Again, talking about being strict and following the rules that were discussed. Of course, all the rules were discussed in detail by Toyota Motor Philippines with all of our racers.
They've got a handbook about as thick as one of those old, if anyone remembers the phone books, nobody uses them anymore. Lord Seno under attack again. A lot of pressure this time, also from Gel Napat, car number 99. And Gel is a lot closer now. A lot closer than last lap, bumper to bumper. Here's a great setup coming up. Mark Sung might be able to get the scraps off this as these two battle it out. Just a little bit of contact there. Mark Sung could be waiting in the wings and inheriting a couple of positions. It's normally how it pans out.
This looks like a brewing
yes, look at this.
close match. I hope they're not so close that, you know, they bump each other's cars.
Well, we also hope not, but you know what? It does make for great racing and a spectacle for the crowd. But you know what? We're trying to teach discipline as well as anything else here. So it's also, for me, equally rewarding. I mean, I know a lot of people like to see a little bit of contact and all that, but when you get to this level of racing and you're no longer sort of just doing it like, well, amateur level. I mean, Toyota professionalizes so much that there's so much beauty in the gracefulness of doing it properly. It's like the difference between watching a professional boxing match versus a brawl. Does that make any sense sometimes?
Yes, I totally get what you're trying to say. Yes.
When you're like, okay, it's not a brawl, there's a sweet science behind placing your shots. Racing is very similar to combat sports like that, because it's about working with the way that your car balances, finding opportunities. You're not there muscling your way through. You're gracefully finding your way around, using speed, maintaining your speed, trying to not break your momentum. It's a beautiful thing to watch when they get it right, and they often do at this level.
So when you are on lead, like Lord Senoes, does that like put more pressure on you to maintain that lead, or like try to get more distance from the cars behind you?
I would say so because you do have a lot more to lose, obviously. When you are tracking, watching somebody ahead of you, you have a target to fixate on. And usually, if you're watching something, it's easier to follow. But when you're looking in reverse in your rear view mirrors and that pressure is coming from behind, yes, I think it takes a little bit more. That's me personally. I don't know if everybody feels the same way. Some people respond better to that kind of pressure. But I would say in general, yes, it is a lot harder being Lord Senna right now than Gel Napa. Having said that, when you see that window closing in the last few laps, we have a car off the grid. Can't see the number just yet.
We will confirm car number 8. That is Daniel Matsunaga.
Okay, I
So we,
guess no taking off the shirt today.
but we'll see if he'll be able to. Is he allowed to go back on the
No,
track?
he's not
No.
allowed to go back on the track. With a 12-lap sprint race like this, we don't actually allow them to go back on the track. If you go into the pits even, you won't have an opportunity to rejoin the track.
So
It's really over for him for this race.
we'll
But
try to
there's
get a
still next
replay
race.
of what exactly happened. How
Yes,
did he end up in the grass?
we don't seem to have one at the moment. It looks like, at least from the angle that we're looking at, it could be either a mechanical something because I don't see any contact. But then we only got one view of the car.
That's going to be a tough one for Danielle. We know how much he wants to win, to compete,
Yes,
especially that this is the last leg, the second to the
exactly.
last race.
Especially that he has tasted it before, right? Danielle
Exactly.
he's tasted victory here in the Vios Cup, and it's for me the most rewarding part of this job is always seeing and being part of that experience. First time winners, it never gets old. Actually, even for somebody who's winning back to back, but there's something special for me about seeing the glint and glitter in somebody's eye that wins for the first time. Somebody who has realized so much self-doubt has been removed because you see a transformation in people. And this is what I find particularly rewarding about this whole experience is when you see drivers transform over a season and they become just better people, not just on the sporting level, but in general. They build their confidence, etc.
And if I may interrupt, James, car number 16, Sherwin Diwa just incurred a 15 seconds penalty. Wow, that's a lot of time. Sherwin Diwa.
15 seconds?
15 seconds.
15 seconds may as well be a lifetime in racing. As you see normally how the races finish, there's usually finishing like that, as you can see in that distance. That's usually what separates the cars after 12 laps. So you can imagine 15 seconds is the car somewhere in the midfield right now. Not midfield, but towards the last quarter. This battle has been going on for about
7 laps.
Yeah, but
Oh, we're
really close, about 4 laps. And I like the way Mark Sung is placing his car right now.
like bangers lang siya. Nandun lang siya
Yes,
sa, just ready anytime to make a move and like
that's
overtake.
right. But remember, Mark, Obengers, not Obangers, so let's not bang each other up. Not that Mark does that. I'm not insinuating anything, but you get very close like that, and all of a sudden, you find yourself battling for, let's say, second place. Not to jinx it, but then one wrong move and you're down last, second place. You could even be out of the race completely.
And
But these guys know what they're doing
of course, they've been here, they've done it before.
many times. They've
They
tasted
had their
victory and they've tasted defeat, and they know which one they want more.
and James, since we've been mentioned a lot of penalties already incurred by our racers, um, these are very costly because even if you're trying to be aggressive, getting an advantage, trying to get a good lead, but then how do you like try to play it clean, like try to avoid these penalties because 15 seconds, like you mentioned, is a lifetime. I mean, getting that advantage would probably end up being useless if you like incur a lot of penalties.
This is part of the discipline of racing. See, everything is measured, everything is calculated. So it's never just like we have movies that portray the one with the most guts, using a different
As we see
word
right
there.
right now,
Yeah,
Gerald Anderson's car number 4. We see him. He is ranked
Gerald Anderson,
22
yeah, that's
overall.
22, but he's down there probably in fourth place right now. Although Daniel Matsunaga with him out, he's probably up to third. We'll go and double check that in just a second. But your question before that was about,
Trying to keep
yes,
it.
trying to avoid the
Yes.
penalties. Well, that's part of the experience of it all. Is it's never just about who's the bravest, because being brave obviously pays some dividends, but brave without smarts, power without
Mm-hmm.
control, they all equal chaos, and usually it means you not finishing the race. So it is what you learn in racing is that discipline, self-control over knowing how much to give and when to give it, so that you don't get those penalties. Because getting a little advantage over somebody in a start, but then getting a 10-second penalty, well, that's the timpla, that's the experience, that's the skill, that's what everyone's trying to aspire to, is to be able to get to make those decisions in split-second timing, just like that, be able to have the skill to back up those decisions. That's what I love watching about that thing. That's what everyone loves watching. Is you're playing high-risk game of poker. It's very, very, because the risks here are not just money. The risks here are quite more severe than a
Mm-hmm.
game of poker or chess. But in similarity, there's a lot of similarities. You have to think. Sometimes you have to give up something in order to get something better. You have to give up a pawn in order to get their king or their bishop. Same thing applies in racing. Sometimes you might have to hold back, give that position up in one corner to get them in another. Sometimes it means holding back to avoid a penalty. I hope that's a long way around answering your very short question.
Thank you very much for clarifying things. And now, my next question would be, since again this is the last leg, all the racers, promotional class, celebrity class, the sporting class, they pretty know the competition, familiar with the how the racers race. So when it comes to strategy, how does it change every time? It's especially that it's the last race.
Okay, well, this is what's great about the Toyota Racing program in general. The Vios Racing Festival, the Toyota Racing program, is they teach you things like this. They don't just teach you how to drive, but they give you a coach. So all of our, especially celebrity drivers who are brought in by TMP, and this is duplicated as well with the teams, they don't just put you in a car, they put you in a team. Knowing that racing is not an individual sport, it is a sport team. It is a team sport, should I say. This is, everyone wins here. So you're given coaches. Coaches help you with the strategy. They help you to develop your own skill, but they also help you understand the whole strategy of racing. So you're not alone out there. They will tell you. But once you get behind the wheel, you put your visor down on your helmet, well, you are the only
It's
one there to execute that strategy, but you're not
exactly.
alone in thinking of it.
Mhm.
They provide you with the full support, and this is why the Toyota Racing Festival is so great, because they do give you all the tools you need to succeed. Like right now, we're watching this epic battle between, it's not just Lord Zeno and Gel Napa, but Mark Sung as well. They're in third place. This has been brewing out for, like you said, almost 12 laps, but intensively for at least 5 laps. And we've seen how they're trying different ways right now. Gel's trying to go on the inside, on the outside, pressuring, but there's a psychological game being played here. Okay, that's Carla Gray, that was you. A psychological game being played here. That's what's also something that I think people should follow, is how these drivers adjust. See, you got Gel Napa going on the outside, maybe building this comfort level, getting, let's say, Lord Senna to get used to the fact that every time they get to that same corner, he goes on the outside. And then when the habit starts forming, bang, on
Go.
the inside.
Right, I see that. Well,
See?
that's a strategy.
Setting little traps here and there.
Now, in your observation, James, how is Lord Zeno able to maintain this lead?
Well, Lord's doing a great job by not overreacting. You see, this is also something that you can appreciate now, the skill of Lord Senna and his experience. He's not overreacting, because in racing you cannot also defend your line more than once. If somebody's going to come down, you have to make that decision when you're coming down to, let's say, the braking area. Are you going to take the inside of the curve or the outside? Because once you take that and somebody, you cannot change. You cannot weave and block.
As you were saying that Mark Sung is now in second
There
place,
you go. What a
overtaking Jel
beautiful.
Napat.
What, and this is exactly what we're talking about. Sometimes you're so fixated on the front car, you forget about what's happening behind you, and boom, Mark Sung, with the advantage, of course, of being there watching what's happening up ahead. This will answer your question before. Gel obviously not really paying as much attention behind, looking at Lord Seno ahead, and then boom, one mistake. That's all it takes. And this is why now Lord has got to be very, very careful, because Mark Sung is obviously just hunting. He's just hunting right now. It's very difficult to overtake an equal machinery, but one mistake and boom, if you're not ready and poised to pounce when that mistake happens, you're not going to gain those places as easily as Mark Sung did in
And
the last lap.
we might just see a new leader.
Look how
if,
close, look how close. So
right
now,
here.
this is what I mean. Mark Sung has taken the outside line. They cannot switch. Now, Mark's going to do a cut, I think. He's too close. He can't do that from the outside. But what you want to do is do a little fake and then come in, because he cannot overtake possibly from the outside there. But you put enough pressure and then you dive back in on the inside. You can do that mid-corner because you're changing direction in another corner. You can't do that in the same corner. But because that's a corkscrew with a very complex set of curves, he's able to utilize that strategy there.
And now we are on our 10th lap. So can we expect to see, some movements or like some
Yes.
push from those probably in the middle or the fourth, fifth, sixth place?
Historically, you can probably say that's a safe bet, because right now, Mark's probably thinking, and so is Jill, got nothing to lose anymore.
This is
Well,
where
it's
you
not nothing to
gamble.
lose. You still have second place to lose and third, but it's like get on the gas now. This is when everything counts, because now you're less worried about overheating your brakes, your tires, and creating fatigue for your car. Because if you drive your car really, really hard, the performance tends to dip off a little bit because you're overheating, you're getting beyond the optimum temperature of your tires. Remember, Bridgestone are a fantastic tire, and they know how to race, but they're putting on street tires on these cars. Street tires are designed for a specific optimum operating temperature. So they're designed to work very well on the road in those conditions. This is something a driver has to think about when they're racing. Beautiful tires, very high performance, but you don't want to overdrive those cars until you put in too much heat into those tires, and then you're going to start to see a performance drop off. Now, obviously, Bridgestone could make specific racing tires that will optimum work at their best in those temperatures, but this is also not what Toyota is trying to develop. They're trying to show you what the Vios is like. This is the same car you can buy and drive on the road. Not especially, it's only prepared for racing in terms of safety, not in performance, not in power, and not in racing tires, etc. So you have to manage that.
And just like that, we are on to our final lap. So this is it.
This is it, ladies and gentlemen. It's all or nothing. Well, it's double
Well,
points up for grabs. So Mark Sung is going to be making, I'm sure, every possible trick he's got up his sleeve. He's going to be pulling out right now. Gel Napat also right there, ready to collect anything that falls off the table, so to speak, between the scrap between these two drivers, Lord Seno, Mark Sung. We've also got Eggy Ong, a previous race winner, down below there in fourth place. Fabio Ide, we jumped a little bit down. Red Diwa, John Dizon, Francis Adriano, Daryl Garbs, Elise Menorca. We are in the promotional class. Can we probably give them an update of who's leading in that field?
in the promotional class, leading that is
As it's a little difficult for us here to be... Oh, look at Mark Sung on the outside there. He's really trying hard here, Apple. This is really going to be no shortage of effort here for Mark Sung. If he doesn't get first place, it won't be from lack of trying. I tell you what, he's bumper to bumper
been
there.
trying.
He's trying, and he's got some momentum. This is his last chance, I would think, for him to make a move that could possibly stick. Will Mark Sung be able to convert this into a race win, or will Lord Seno take it all the way to the checkered flag? We still have just barely a half lap to go. We're almost 30 minutes into this race. These guys have been at it. We haven't had any pause in the action. Can they take it all the way to the checkered flag? This is pretty much the last sector where Mark can make something happen. And remember, he's still also got Gel Napa right there within striking
Right
distance. He
there.
cannot get too campante here, cannot take too many risks as well. This is it, Apple. This is the final sector here. This is what we call the double A. This will lead on to the main straight. If Mark can't do something here now, he pretty much won't make anything happen here. There's only one last possibility, and that would involve Lord Senna making a mistake. Lord Senna doesn't make many mistakes, which is why he is now the race winner for this race here of the Vios Racing Festival. This is race number 8. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Sung just there in second place, Gel Napat in third. What a race we had. There was action from start to finish.
Definitely a lot of action, James, and it was so intense watching that close competition for the three cars for Mark Sung, for Jal Napat, and Lord Senna as well.
And
But
Lord Senna, yeah.
overall, Lord Senna, pretty flawless execution.
I think it was a flawless execution. You don't get enough credit when you've led the race pretty much from start to finish. It looks easy when you're watching on camera, but there's absolutely nothing easy about it, ladies and gentlemen. I have been in one of these race cars. I have felt what it's like to be in that position. It is a very, very tough spot. You really are counting the laps and you go, I cannot believe this race is lasting forever. It feels like it's never ending because
You want it to end because
yes,
I'm
but the
leading.
car behind, there's never enough laps. And look at them, the great sign of sportsmanship there between Mark Sung and Lord Seno, driving alongside just to give him a wave and show great battle. That was an epic little scrap we had there. Kept it all clean. Look at Lord's car. It looked like it came out of a car wash.
What is the, what do you like about how Lord perform in this race?
How Lord performed is cool under pressure is, I think, probably the key phrase there. Is he did not overreact to anything. He was under pressure from start to finish from Gel Napat and also Mark Sung, but he didn't overcompensate with everything. What he did was it looked like he drove his own race, and that is what makes it very. That's what I think his secret to success is with this one. You cannot adjust too much to drive the race and game plan of others because you will fall out of your own strengths and into your own weaknesses, and the opposite for the other person.
And with that, James, we are ready to view our highlights for race number 8. Like what we said, um, everyone pretty had a good start.
It was a good start, except for the jump start there for Julian Neri, I believe. And then look at car number 99, Gel Napa, led that race. But it wasn't long after that Lord Senna was able to take that. We didn't really see how that unfolded. I guess we didn't get the angle for that, but it looked like he just won the scrap to the first corner. And from there, he just took it all the way and kept it. Kept a cool head, drove his own race, and from there we saw a battle there. It was the story for the sporting class was really between Gel Napat, Mark Sung, and Lord Seno. There were some midfield battles as well that we'd like to see if we can replay those as well. Great little midfield battles. These are also sometimes where you don't really get to see. They don't get as much camera time, but they are just fighting as hard a battle as the people up front. Remember, every time you see these cars go out, we have 26 cars on the grid. Every single one of those cars are fighting just as hard. Just because they're in 26th place, it really makes no difference. They're fighting just as hard as the car at the front.
Right.
Because as much as there's motivation to be the winner, there's motivation, equal motivation, probably more,
To be in front of any,
last.
yeah,
To not be
exactly.
last. Nobody wants to be last. And look at this. This is another replay. An example of the pressure that Lord Senna had to work under for the entire race. Gel Napat on the outside. There's no way he can make that stick from the outside, but a nice, what they call, little undercut, where they go on the outside, and as the car pulls over and it starts to eat up the rest of the track, it dives in to get the apex of the next corner, but he wasn't able to make that stick.
And so again, smoothly and calmly, Lord Seno wins our race number 8. And again, that's just our second to the last. We have one more race coming up later this afternoon.
And we also have the car clubs as well coming up with the media challenge. That will all be shown to you live across, not just here at the racetrack, but also across Facebook Live, where we have always been committed to feeding you the latest in action as it happens right there, streamed to your device, whether it's your phone, whether it's your laptop. It couldn't get more convenient, more comfortable than that.
And of course, we encourage them to join in the fun, join in the conversation. If you are around Clark International Speedway, come on over here. We still have the whole afternoon. But at the same time, if you're watching via Facebook Live, join in and tell us your thoughts with the hashtag Vios Racing Festival.
Don't just join the fun, you can start the fun as well. That's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. And as Apple mentioned, if you are in the Clark area or anywhere near Pampanga, we will make it worth your while. I've already met a lot of people who drove up from Manila just to claim their jackets. So if you're one of those people out there that won the raffle, has claimed your jacket here, salute to you. I've met quite a few of you. I want to meet you all because you guys are really great. And I hope that I'm able to talk to you to find out what your experience is, especially if it's your first time attending a Vios Racing Festival, because there's so much in store. If you've never seen a race before, you will be probably amazed at what happens here both on and off the track, right?
Exactly, James. And so for now, we are gonna take a quick break because we will set up the autocross challenge.
Absolutely.
That is gonna be up next, and then don't go anywhere because again, like what you mentioned earlier, we have the qualifying round, the semis, and then the race number 8, followed by the finals of the autocross, the meet and greet, the awarding ceremonies, more and more and more when we return.
So stay with us. This is the Vios Racing Festival 2019.